Hi, everybody. Here we are. We're live. Made it for another Sunday night. Welcome to our live stream. Tonight, we're going to talk about some common keto misconceptions. And this is part one of a series. Uh, Before we get there, though, I just have a few housekeeping things. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anita. I've been on this journey for over 10 years. I started off low carb. Uh, then I went keto and now I'm carnivore. Here's some of my before pictures. So as you can imagine, life-changing amount of weight loss. It's almost 150 pounds at this point. Very happy about that. And on these live streams, I answer questions, I share tips, I share things that, I basically have a cooking channel with a few informational videos. I share a lot of stuff in these live streams that doesn't make it to any of those videos. It was interesting because I did have somebody ask me the other day, do you have any videos where you give out tips on how to, how you did this? And I'm like, every Sunday night, just come on down, ask me the questions. So if you're here, I'm here to answer. Anyways, the other things I want to do, I have an announcement, but also I do want to welcome the moderators. Bonnie is here and Melissa is here. You will see her as Copper's Carnivore Kitchen in the live chat. They are there, providing answers and welcomes and links and basically, keeping the questions organized for later when we get to the Q&A part. So welcome, Bonnie and Melissa. We had a major giveaway this last week. It was for a rebounder from Kensone complete with the balance bar and everything. Same rebounder that I own myself. And Kensone is giving that away. So that contest has ended. We have a winner, and that winner, her name is Tammy Goff. So Tammy, if you're here tonight, congratulations. She knows she has won, and she has contacted me with her address details, her contact details. And so, we're on the weekend now, but this evening before I go to bed, I'm going to be sending Kensone that email with all her information, and then that will be shipped to her when they're back at work sometime tomorrow. I don't think they have a long weekend. We have a long weekend where we are. So if you're in Canada, I think most of Canada has a long weekend this weekend. I'm not sure if it's all the provinces, but happy August long weekend for those of you who are lucky enough to get it. So there you go. Hopefully you get to sleep in tomorrow. So I think those were the major. Hang on, let me just check my notes here. Make sure that there wasn't something else I was going to announce. I did mention this last week that I do now have a coupon code or a discount code, I guess if you want to call it, for Meat Stock 2026. I went to 2024, 2025, had the time of my life there. You get to just mingle with all kinds of people that are in the carnivore and keto community and eat meat for several days. Somebody else is cooking for you. Somebody else is doing all that. Delicious food, wonderful company, great location in the Tennessee Smoky Mountains. How can you not love it? And so if you are thinking of going this year, they've got an even bigger lineup of amazing speakers this year. My code is Ketogenic Woman. That will get you $50 off. So it's a savings, even if you're just going for the weekend and paying for the convention part only and not the retreat. So just wanted to mention that. That link is in the video notes. Today, we're going to talk about common misconceptions of keto. And boy, when I started low carb, it was a little bit out there. People didn't do that. This was, back, well, I tried low carb in the 70s and then in the 80s and 90s. Like I kept sort of trying and sort of giving up. My first real, honest to goodness, taking it seriously stab at low carb and keto was just over 10 years ago. And even then, it still was, not really accepted all that well. In fact, I heard about keto. I was doing low carb, and low carb was, I got that from, this is where I started, Atkins. He talked about low carb. He never mentioned keto. He mentioned being into ketosis, but he didn't call it keto. It was a low carb way of eating, and that's kind of where I started. But a friend of mine, I remember just meeting her and a couple other women for lunch, and she was telling us about her son. Her son had epileptic seizures, and he was doing this keto diet, and I thought, well, that kind, she was describing it. They were having to weigh out. He had multiple seizures a day, like lots of seizures every day. And they controlled it through a very strict keto diet where, I mean, they were weighing out butter and cream and all kinds of things for him very specifically. It was very, very high fat. It was medically, prescribed to him. And I remember thinking at the time that sounds like, it's going to be really low carb. And when I got home, I started Googling and looking into this more. And I found people were kind of using it for weight loss as well. And that's what kind of got me, sort of steering me towards keto after I had been doing the low carb for a while. So I thought that was really interesting that it was, a program like that, kind of behind the scenes in these medical clinics. And so it has been around for quite a long time. So let's talk about some of these myths, because when I first started keto, boy, I sure heard from people, people would say to me things like, "Oh, all that bacon and butter, like, it's all you eat," or it just, it's kind of funny how people will push against something like that while also being aware that there are people that line up around the block to get into, here it's Tim Hortons is the morning fix where, it's normal to get, boxes of those little donut holes, and, they call them Timmies here. That's normal apparently to eat that, but, heaven forbid you eat some eggs fried in butter with some bacon or some other kind of meat. I mean, that can't be good. So anyways, let's start on the myths. I do have a chart here where I put the most common ones that I used to be made aware of by my friends and family. Maybe you have some. I would love to hear what you have heard from your friends and family. I'm going to put this up on the screen here so you can, oh, that's the wrong one. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. So here's the first myth. You will only lose water weight. Really? Okay, you guys saw those pictures of me at the beginning when I was 320 pounds. Does it look like I've only lost water weight? Yes, initially you lose water weight. Any program that you go on, you're going to lose water weight in the beginning. But the reason that you lose so much water weight on keto in the beginning is because the carbs, the processed foods, all of those foods are full of inflammation, and like your body is hanging on to all this inflammation. People are puffy when they've been eating the processed foods and all the carbs. So when you eliminate those, it's like you're up all night peeing every night, several times. If you remember back to say your first week of low carb or keto or carnivore, any of those low carb type eating, anywhere you are on the spectrum, you're going to be losing a lot of water weight, and that's normal. And there isn't anything wrong with that. However, it is one of the things that can cause keto flu, because you're flushing out electrolytes while you're losing all that water weight. You're peeing out all your sodium and magnesium and potassium. So that is more of a problem than losing water weight. And that water weight loss is temporary. It should settle down after the first couple of weeks. So the thing is that doesn't go on forever. Things stabilize. You do start to lose body fat after a couple of weeks. It certainly happened to me. There are people that are in the live chat, because I see names here that I know. And I know that some of these people have lost, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 50, 100, 120. Like there are people in this chat with big weight losses. You can't tell me that that's water. So that is a myth. I don't know where, how people can hang on to that, but sometimes people are just looking for a reason not to start something. Oh, I'm just going to lose water weight and then I'm going to gain it all back. Well, if you stay on it, you won't. You'll lose body fat and you're not going to gain it back. I mean, it's a great way to it's so maintainable and sustainable. So that's the first myth that that I used to run across. And then this other one, I think I already mentioned, all you get is bacon and eggs and steak. Well, first of all, nothing wrong with bacon and eggs and steak. I happen to kind of like all those things. But there is, in fact, quite a wide variety of foods that people who do keto eat. I mean, it's like a whole range of meat and eggs and dairy products. And most keto people are eating vegetables. You want to stick to the low carb, low oxalate vegetables, but most people are eating, vegetables, and even some fruits and some nuts, perhaps, if they can tolerate those. There's not a shortage of variety on a keto diet. A keto diet has a great variety of foods, like an amazing variety of foods. It is definitely not all about bacon and eggs, unless you want it to be. And some people like that kind of simplicity. I mean, I know people who feel great comfort in having the same thing every day. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think if eating bacon and eggs works for you, then you should eat bacon and eggs, and you can do it regularly and not worry about the fact that that's what you're having. I see bacon and eggs, like, to me, it is a good recovery food. I always tell people, if you've had, a slip. I know a lot of you are on vacation, like it's summertime, people are traveling, they may not be perfect. I've been on a cruise already this summer, as well as my trip to Tennessee. I know it's hard to sort of stay really strict and on track when you're traveling. And I always tell people, don't come back and punish yourself. Find your favorite foods and eat that at your next meal. Get yourself back on track. For me, whenever I feel like I've had a crappy weekend or made some bad choices, bacon and eggs is kind of a go-to. I always feel better after I've had a plate of bacon and eggs, and it's almost like it reminds me how easy this lifestyle is. yeah, I can get back on track by eating bacon and eggs. It makes me feel good. It's comfort food to me. And if with comfort food like that, who needs the other crap, right? So even though it's not all about bacon and eggs, if you like them, eat them. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Okay, this one, it was, this is the one that people throw at you to scare you. Oh, ketosis, that's dangerous. It's dangerous to have ketones. What's happening there is they're getting that word ketosis mixed up with another word that sounds similar, that ketoacidosis, which is a totally different thing. Um, you know, Nutritional ketosis is something that we strive for. It is a safe metabolic state. It is a really good metabolic state. Actually, I'm going to see if I can get that one up there that I want. Yeah. So this is called a GKI chart. Any of you that have a Keto Mojo, you probably know what this chart is, because the Keto Mojo will generally give you if you've got it set up, it will give you your GKI number as well as your ketones and your glucose. We want to be in nutritional ketosis. We would like our number between, to be in that 3 to 6 range is just fine. I often will fall into the 1 to 3 range if I'm really focused, eating lots of sardines, maybe doing some intermittent fasting or 24-hour fast. Yes, thank you. I see that there are some links being dropped in the chat there for how to calculate it yourself. But you can even calculate it yourself with a calculator. I've got the calculation on there. Measure your glucose and your ketones and do that calculation, and you'll have your GKI number. And, if it's over 9, you're basically not in ketosis. So let's put it that way. And if it's between 0 and 1, you might want to, just be careful there too. I mean, most people, I've had it drop down to less than 1. That's usually after a long fast, which is fine too. I mean, a lot of good things happen when you're fasting. So let me see if I can get that off of there. Ooh, these charts are working today. Okay, so ketosis is not dangerous. It is, we want it. We want it. It's good for us. It is good for our brains. People, my age and older, I'm 67, by the way, and I take 0 medications. I'm very proud to say that. And I think the things that we need to worry about, those of us in our 60s, are issues with our cognitive function. It starts to decline a little bit. And, they say that having dementia, a major risk factor for having dementia is just being over the age of 80. But it starts in your 60s, generally speaking, unless you have early onset. So what I'm doing today is, I'm helping to protect me when I'm 80. Because I watched my mom go through having dementia and Alzheimer's. I cared for her those last 5 years of her life, and it was not a picnic. And I don't ever want to see anybody going through that. Anybody that I know, I don't want to see myself going through that. It is a major part of my why. And so I feel like I want to do what I can to get those ketones running through my brain, giving me that mental clarity and that energy. Hang on, I just got to close the door. I've got some dogs that are starting to fuss. So they'll have to wait. So we definitely want that, those ketones running not only through our brains but our whole body, because so many things are going to start going right with our metabolism when we can focus on that, as well as keeping our blood glucose lower. And that's where following a plan, a keto plan or a proper human diet plan, whatever you want to call it. Um, and I always like to take the opportunity. This seems like a good time to say it's all it you know it's about as much it's what we're not eating as well as what we are eating that is really important here. So what we're trying to avoid, we want to avoid sugar, flours and grains, processed foods, ultra processed foods, refined carbohydrates, refined seed oils, um, alcohol, any food also that has a long list of ingredients, the things that come in packages and bags with barcodes. If you can't pronounce the ingredients, don't eat it. Single ingredient foods, whole foods. And for some people, that might be things that, maybe I don't personally eat vegetables and fruits and things because I have reasons for that, tolerance issues, but other people can handle it okay. And so that is fine. I mean, I've got some vegetarians in my family. So, they leave me alone with my meat and I leave them alone with their vegetables. I try to tell them, just make it organic, make it whole foods. Just don't buy those fake vegetarian replica foods, like the fake meats and all that stuff. That stuff is garbage. The other thing is, so just ending the list that I have here, that is just another crash diet, not sustainable. Well, in fact, it has a long medical history. I mean, I started out by telling you about my friend whose son, had all those seizures every day, and they were basically curing his brain using a keto diet. Long medical history originally for managing epilepsy. And it is very sustainable long term with a high nutrient whole food approach. What the heck is wrong with eating whole single ingredient foods? How can anybody have anything negative to say about that? And why do people persist in this notion that eating processed foods and carbs and fast food and junk food and all the things that come in boxes and bags, why is that normal eating, and what we're doing somehow out of the norm? How did that switch ever happen? Because when I look at a typical keto diet where people are eating a wide variety of good fresh meats, and they're eating some vegetables that my grandparents did that, and my great grandparents, the food that they ate, they either killed it or grew it themselves. Um, and they preserved it for over the winter. I mean, everything they ate was something that, their hands did it, their labor did it. They did it from their land. And that should be the normal way that we eat. That used to be the normal way that people ate. And they would trade and barter back and forth. They did it themselves. It was sustainable. That's how they spent their whole lives without having any of the crappy foods that we call food and we now think is normal everyday food that people should be eating. It makes zero sense. Somebody make it make sense. It just makes zero sense to me. So, putting that piece of paper aside now. Before I get to the questions, there was one thing that I wanted to remind, especially the people that kind of follow me in other areas besides my live stream here. Don't forget about the August calendar for those that want to follow along. There is a link to the calendar in the notes as well. Tomorrow, Sardine Challenge starts. I'm starting sardines tomorrow. And some people will add eggs because, we do that. There is basically, an omega-3 challenge. I am going to try and do a clean sardine challenge. So we'll see. Thank you, Melissa, for putting the link in the live chat if anybody wants to have. And this isn't to say you have to do what I'm doing. This is just gives you ideas, kind of lets you know what I am doing. So I'm looking forward to boosting my ketones up again. Okay. So thank you for those that are here. And I see that people are already there's already questions piling up. So I'm going to go over to the questions. Just going to take a drink of water. Give my throat a little bit of a treat there. And heading to the questions now. Okay. Maria, let's see. Here's a question from Maria. Will you be putting out a cookbook? I'd buy them and give them to all my friends who are gluten-free. I'm ketovore, converting to carnivore. Okay. Well, as a matter of fact, I am currently working on a cookbook. I do have a publishing deal, and that will be coming out sometime in 2026. It's in the process right now. So, I've been submitting stuff to them, and we're going back and forth with revisions. And my final manuscript is due in early 2026. So, yeah, it's in the works. So I'll definitely let you guys know when it's available for pre-order. So thanks for asking. Cheryl, No Sugar Coach. How do I get the Omega Monday #premium t-shirt shipped to me in Ontario? So we have a link. They should be able to ship it anywhere. I ordered one and had it shipped to me, and I'm in BC. So I will make sure that the link is in the video notes, but I do think, I don't think it should be a problem to have it shipped to Ontario at all. So there is, so there are some new t-shirts in the works right now, and I'm wondering if you're thinking about the ones that are just starting to show up on Amazon, because they might have to be ordered from Amazon.com and then shipped to you in Ontario. There's a couple of Teddy shirts coming out shortly too, so which I'm kind of excited about those. Chef Teddy. There are some things happening behind the scenes that I haven't really shared yet. So you might see something over on Amazon. I'm not sure. I've got someone who's putting up a couple of designs. So maybe that's what you're asking about, and I just haven't seen it yet. Or if you're talking about the ones that have the hashtag, that is from Dashery, and you should be able to have it shipped to Ontario. But you can email me, and I can help you figure out how to get it if there's a problem. But thanks for asking. Maria, you look fantastic. Your mitochondria must be thrilled with your diet. Oh, I hope so. I'm trying to make my mitochondria very happy. I am definitely working on that, and I am looking into, this month is going to be some more fasting, and so that is always a good thing. Cheryl, oh, this is a comment you've had. You're eating too much salt and fat. I know that's definitely a misconception. And it's because people don't know that when we are on a low carb or a keto or carnivore diet, we need more salt. Because the problem is with the refined carbs and all those packaged foods, that is loaded with sodium and fat. And nobody says a word. You can eat all that sodium and fat, and it's not even real food, and nobody says a word. What we're eating, and this is what you can respond, what we eat is less sodium and fat than those foods that people are eating as part of the standard American diet. Processed foods are loaded with sodium and fat. So, no. Tell them to go away. Maria, my doctor told me that eating only meat is not sustainable. It could be because they are a sugar addict themselves. I find that people who say it's not sustainable have never tried it. But I get it. I get that you people, if they haven't tried it, I get how they can say it's not sustainable, because when I first heard about, well, carnivore especially, we're talking about keto tonight. Next week we're gonna do some carnivore myth busting, but tonight we're talking specifically about keto, which is a nice variable, so much variety on a keto diet. But when I first started thinking about carnivore, I was like, oh, really? Like, isn't that going to be boring? The thing is, I wouldn't go back. Although every now and then, I could have something on an everyday basis. It's so much easier. It's so much more convenient. It's simple. It has simplified things for me. It simplified my life, as well as, it's been good for me. And I feel like it never gets old. Like, there's certain cuts of meat that if you put lamb chops, roast lamb, a fatty beef steak, what, I could list about 20 things that if you put in front of me, it just never gets old, even if I have them almost every day. Brisket never gets old. I mean, I just love that jiggly meat. it just never gets old. And I never thought I would feel that way. Honest to goodness, just never thought I would feel that way. And so it is, it's just their opinion. They have no proof to back that up, because there's people who have been carnivores for over 10 years, well over 10 years. There's some out there much, much, much longer than that. And yeah, they're wrong. They're just wrong. Gretchen, one myth is that all the fat clogs your arteries. Yeah, that is the myth that Aunt Silky started back in the day. It has been debunked over and over and over again. There are lots of studies. If you struggle with that one, I think that book is in my bedroom. There's a book that it's called The Big Fat Surprise. Nina Teicholz, she's got all the studies. She's got everything. There's one that I had. Where is he? Oh, I've got to organize my books. Daniel Trevor was on my channel, a couple months ago. Sorry, it's invisible. It's partially invisible. The book is called Unholy Trinity. 1,300 studies in here to disprove all of the misconceptions around fat clogging your arteries, plus all the other ones that people keep coming up with. So many studies that he did to make that book. It is just incredible. So yeah, it's not true. Patty, you cannot lose fat by eating fat. So untrue. You can't even, unless you eat the fat to get fat adapted, you're not going to unlock those cells that will then start to release the fat, especially for those people who suffer from insulin resistance. So those people have to eat the fat to lose the fat. Anything else, people who are doing the low calorie, low fat diets, they might lose weight, but and especially if they're young and active and not insulin resistant, that might work. For someone like myself, it'll be a temporary thing. It'll be temporary, and it'll stop. And so we have to think about things in a different way. Darvit. Hi, Darvit. The biggest misconception I've heard repeatedly, even by doctors, is that ketosis is dangerous. It isn't. Diabetic ketoacidosis is dangerous. Being in ketosis is our healthy natural status. Yes. Yeah, and we talked about that earlier in the hour. Absolutely. We want to be in ketosis. We want those ketones flooding through our body, helping our brains, fixing us. There's so many things. Yeah. Thank you for your comment. And thank you for stating it so well, too. Debbie, a big misconception I'm always told is being on the ketogenic diet is temporary because it's not sustainable. what's not sustainable is the standard American diet, because people are getting sick with that. They're going to die early. They're going to have an unhealthy lifespan, or health span. Do we want to extend our lives on medications, or do we want to extend our lives with health? I mean, that is the question, because sure, we can, the doctors have reams of medications they can give us when we get sick, but what a way to slowly die. Every time you go on a medication, it causes side effects that need other medications. You end up in a nursing home. I mean, people my age are having mobility issues. They're starting to go into assisted living. They're having to get on these medications only to get sicker and sicker and sicker. And then you end up with your life totally in the control of other people, telling you what, or dressing you, feeding you, doing all those things. You're eating mystery meat in a nursing home when you don't have to be. This is my thing, that I want to be upright, and I want to have all my faculties on the day that I die, whatever that day is going to be chosen for me, whatever that day is. I don't want it to be in some bland place with other people around me that I don't know. And I just want to be healthy until it's my time. And I think that's what we all deserve and have a right to. Tina, how can you afford this diet? I have saved so much money by not buying processed food. I enjoy going to the market twice a week to buy fresh, high quality ingredients. I'm the investment 100%. The thing is, when we are, those packaged foods, and even some fruits and vegetables, I've been noticing. I mean, I bought a bag of, I think, 4 peaches for my son the other day, and it was like over $8. And I was thinking, wow, those are nice. And I'm glad he's, buying fresh fruit, but um, ounce per ounce, when you think about, the nutrition in 4 peaches, how, for $8 versus, say, $8 worth of ground beef. When you think about, comparing the nutrition, like, there's just no comparison. And it's not, that does not sustain your satiety. If I was eating that, it would make me more hungry and want more and more food, and kind of trigger that, sweet craving. It is a big misconception. And the foods that are for sale, I mean, all food, let's face it, all food is getting more expensive. But if you are cutting out, processed foods and snack foods, I mean, have you looked at the price of a box of cereal lately? It's stunning. It's stunning how expensive that stuff is, and it's not even real food. It's a food-like substance. If we only spent our money on actual real food and not on the fake foods and the Franken foods, I feel like I spend less on food than I ever have in the past. So I don't know. That's a huge myth for sure. Thank you for that one. Question: how many people approximately attend Meat Stock? Is there a chance of bumping into one of our favorite carnivore leaders? Can we part of your channel group to meet? I'm an accountant too. Yeah. So the first time that I heard about Meat Stock, it had been there was a Meat Stock 2023. And I think there was like maybe 40 people or something. The year that I went, which was 2024, there was about 60-ish people. Last year, there was 300 or so people. And I think in 2026, they're expecting a couple thousand people. It seems to be getting quite a bit bigger every year. There is a huge list of speakers that are already booked for 2026. Now, so if you just come to the convention, you get to hear all those speakers. They mingle, in between. Like, a speaker is there for the weekend, but or the day at least, and might speak for an hour, but then they're around, and I found that they were always there and open. Like, you could easily, say hi, get a selfie, ask some, questions or whatever. I mean, they're there and ready, willing, and able to talk to the people that follow them. They want that. They know that that is part of what the attraction is so that people get to meet them. If you go to the retreat part, which I have been for the last, I went last year to the retreat, or the last 2 years, and I have signed up for the retreat for next year. If you're in the retreat part, it is more expensive, of course, because you're there in these cabins, in the mountains, with all this food, and so that's all been taken care of for you. You're rooming with people and sharing meals with people. I shared meals with all kinds of influencers. Dr. Kiltz was at my table. Sally Norton was my roommate last year. Things like that. Like, you're with these people 24/7 and getting involved and sitting at tables and, sitting out on the deck in the evenings with them. It's really super nice. And so it really depends on, your budget, where you want to spend your time and your money. And if, if you can do it, it's great. It's getting so much bigger because people want to go. And I think I heard that this year might be the last year they do the retreat part, and they'll just have to put more, because there's so many people now. It's just really hard to accommodate that many people. So it'll be at a convention center, that sort of thing. Yeah, and there's so many smaller type of events, look on low carb events. I went on the low carb cruise as well. The people that were speaking were always willing to stop and talk. You can hang out with Maria Emmerich and Two Crazy Ketos and people like that. Bronson Dant and Coach Natalie were there. Like, they're always willing to stop and talk and hang out a bit. So that was fun too. So look into these events. You'll love it. It's always a real boost to whatever program you're trying to work on. Trish, most common question I get this one too. Isn't your cholesterol through the roof? In fact, mine is not. It did go up. It did go up for a time, and the lab, my first lab report, like when I was, say, carnivore for about a year, I think, my cholesterol did get flagged. But when I sat in the doctor's office expecting to get, oh no, I'm going to get a lecture or whatever, she looked at those other numbers, because my triglycerides were so low and my HDL was good and high, which is what we want. There's other numbers, like my inflammation markers are super low. All those things, like she was smart enough to look at the whole thing and go, yeah, there's nothing really to see here. You look so healthy. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. And so, even though she's not a pro carnivore, pro keto doctor, she's at least smart enough to know that it's not all about one marker. It's about everything that you see in front of you. Is the person looking healthy? Do they have high blood pressure? No. Like I had normal blood pressure. I had lost all this weight. Everything else was looking good. My A1C was, 5.1 or whatever it was on that particular day. I mean, these things all matter. They all have to be taken into account, not just the one number. Now, the last time I had my labs done, which was a few months ago, my LDL actually has come down, and even though I'm eating more meat and fat than ever. So I think you do go through, and people are different. Like some people, their cholesterol gets up there and stays up there, but if all their other markers are good, and they don't have that, history and things against them, like, I think that we can worry a little bit less about this, and we just have to know our own health and our own history and get our tests done. So yeah, but that is a common misconception. Mickey, I am always told that I have to eat fruits and vegetables to be healthy. Then I have to explain the effects of oxalates. Absolutely. I mean, most people don't know about oxalates, and even a lot of people in the community have not yet caught on to the whole oxalate issue. And it is a thing. And people have gotten kidney stones and all kinds of things related to oxalates. For me, it was styes in my eyes, and I haven't had any now in 2 years, which I'm very grateful for. Mariana, Todd, hi there. It's great to catch a live. I'm so glad that you were able to catch a live. It's always fun to be here and to answer questions from people that and you've come to my channel and commented on my videos for years, I think, like for a long time. So it's always so nice to see people show up to the live for me as well. Karen Roberts, I had an eye opener. Glucose was rising in mom, have been experimenting. Found out not eating after 5 to 6 p.m. was the key. Thanks, Dr. Boz. Also love Ketogenic Woman. You're my fave. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Boz. To me, is the insulin resistant queen. She knows what to do, and that, moving your window earlier in the day is key. And so I'm so glad that you figured that out with your mom, because I mean, one of the goals that I have in August is to try to at least a couple of days a week end my eating window at 3 p.m. in the afternoon instead of, later, like a normal dinner time. People that eat at 7 or 8 at night, I don't even accept those types of invitations anymore. Like I don't. I cannot deal with a dinner at 7 or 8 at night. I know in the past when I was young, the evening just started at 8 or 9 at night. No more. I'm going to bed, 8 or 9 o'clock. I want to be finished eating 5 hours before. None of this 7 or 8 o'clock dinner times for me anymore. It's healthier for us. It's better for us. And yeah, I'm trying to push that back for myself too. So good for you for taking care of your mom like that. Darvit, yay, Ketogenic Woman I was actually going to ask if you would make a cookbook as well. This is great news. I'll need a few of them to gift. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that people are excited about it. I'm pretty excited about it too. And yep, can hardly wait for it to be out there. But I have to finish it first. But thank you. Yvonne, a myth for me, you don't need to eat fat to lose body fat. When I go lower fat, I gain weight. And there are some people that do. And here again, there are some people that do need to have a different level of fat than others. And it has to do with, with age and people's personal fat thresholds and different things like that. history, medical history. There's so many factors. You cannot look at somebody and say for sure, how much protein they should be having, how much fat, and all that. We can sort of guess at a range that might work, and then we just tweak it for ourselves. And I can eat the exact same thing as the person next to me, and we can have completely different results. So there is some individuality here, and it pains me when I see people acting like there's only one way to do it, because there isn't. There isn't a magic set of macros that will work for everybody all the time. And so good for you for figuring it out for yourself, because sometimes we have to go against the grain, against the flow of what people are saying out there. Sometimes we do have to do something a little different for ourselves. Radical healing, my radical healing rebellion. What's the easiest way to transition from carnivore to lion diet? I always feel I'm getting the keto flu every time I try to make the switch. Is that common? I think anytime you make a major switch, you can feel like you're getting the keto flu. And so when you make a major change, it might be as simple as just upping your electrolytes, which for most people, is more salt, and perhaps the potassium and magnesium. There's this thing out there called soul water, which I've been meaning to experiment with. But for lion diet, lion diet is really switching from all the meats, dairy, and eggs to just ruminant meats, and no coffee, of course. The coffee part was the part that kind of scared me for so long, but now I don't drink it anymore. And it was the lion diet. I did it for 60 days, and I was able to let go of coffee for those 60 days. And I still have not brought it back into my life, and I just don't plan to, which will leave me open to be able to do the lion diet again at some point. I think it's a good way to use carnivore as an elimination tool. If you feel like you still have some food sensitivities or other things that are not healed yet, the lion diet is excellent for narrowing that down, because you're only eating ruminants. You're not eating pork or chicken. You're not eating eggs. You're not eating dairy. You're not having coffee, sweeteners, other things. You are eating basically, in North America, you're probably eating lamb and beef, bison, maybe some venison, things like that. In other countries, there might be other ruminants that are more widely available. But I think what you want to do is get yourself off the coffee first if you can. I started with decaf, and then by the time I had my day one of lion, I was pretty much off the caffeine. And so start with that, and just make sure you add a lot of salt and think about extra electrolytes. From carnivore to lion, it shouldn't, other than those two things, it shouldn't be a huge transition. Maria, do you follow any channels of doctors that you would recommend? I follow Kelly Hogan, Dr. Ben Bickman. I like, who else do I like? I follow random things that come up. Dr. Nick Norowitz, sometimes he's got some interesting stuff. Off the top of my head, I'm not thinking. I'm trying to think of who else. Probably Melissa and Bonnie know who I follow, because Dr. Boz, of course. I follow her a lot. In fact, I probably watch more of her stuff than anyone else. People like that. People that talk about insulin resistance. People that talk about women my age. I tend to be more. I'm not following so many of the younger influencers or the bodybuilders, people like that, the gym bros and all that. I'm following people that are kind of the same as me, or deal with people like me. So that's kind of where I go. Oh, we are only a few minutes away, so I've got to go through this. Gadget Lily made frozen SIBO yogurt pucks. Thanks for the idea. How long would they last in the freezer? I, I would say they could last a long, long time. But would they last that long? Like I tend to eat them when I see them. So mine, if I had 6 of those popsicles, it would last 6 days maximum. Um, are you thinking of like making them in bulk and having a whole bunch of them in there? If you make the little mini ones, you could probably put them in a bag or something. But they should last a couple months, I would think. Okay, my radical healing rebellion. I'm with you, Anita. I want to be healthy enough to keep working and live in my own home until the day I drop. That's the dream. I know, that's the dream. Thank you. Thank you for the ice cream recipe. It was fabulous. That's from Christina. They are talking probably about maybe either the Fat Fast ice cream or the carnivore ice cream. I've done a lot of Fat Fast stuff lately. I've got one more Fat Fast video coming out within the next week or so. Elizabeth, just a little inspiration for those newer carnivore ketos. I'm down 147 pounds in 1.5 years on carnivore, feeling great. You did that in 1.5 years, what took me like 10 years to accomplish. Good for you. And wow, I don't even know what to say. That is amazing. Congratulations. You must feel like a brand new person. Wow. That's insane. Good for you. Okay. So that I got to the end of the questions here and we are like 4 minutes away. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank people, all those people who went and watched the rebounder video. And everything else. Like I want to make sure that I thank you all for entering that contest. Congratulations to Tammy Goff for being the winner. Come back next week. We're going to do this a little bit more, but focused on carnivore diet. And I thank you for coming and thank you for watching my recent videos on fat fasting. If you guys want to do a live stream about fat fasting, we can certainly do that in the future as well. Just let me know in the comments what kind of conversations you would like to have. And hopefully some of you will start the sardine challenge with me tomorrow. I'm going to be doing that, and then I'm going to do 3 days of sardines, and then 3 days of water fasting, pretty much like Dr. Boz teaches in her courses. So, anyone wants to join, please do. So, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here.